cesspool. So,
all right, so we're live. We'll just pretend it's just us, but
okay.
we're live. And I'm Karanda Adair, and I'm here with Kristen Roberts of Trestle Law, and we'll put your website up here. And so why don't you? What we're doing is we are going to talk about the pot of gold, and we're going to go through and we're going to talk about how is Kristen using content and how can she use the pot of gold, which is a content management database system using Airtable. How can you use that to further your content marketing goals? So before we do that, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you do and all that good stuff.
Hello, I'm Kristen Roberts. I am the founder and managing attorney of Trestle Law APC. We're located in San Diego, California. We're a full-service intellectual property law firm, but what we like to do, we like to tell people that we build a bridge from your brand to your bank account. So we help our clients not just secure their intellectual property, but also then monetize it once they have it. So we really focus on that monetization piece.
Awesome. Okay, so IP is basically content, right? So
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those like I'm really good at like doing for you for others, but for some reason I just like cannot do for myself.
right. So but you would agree then that it's super important to be organized about your content, to know where it is, to be able to put your hands on it, like all the things that the pot of gold is designed to do.
This is
So
a
if you're
very
watching
good
this,
tool that I don't use well enough.
yeah. So and you said that in a comment on Facebook, and I was like, okay, let's talk about it and let's do it live.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you were game. So if you're watching and you don't have the pot of gold, go to carveldigital.com/POG and you can learn all about what it is and you can get one for yourself. So what I want to do before I share screen and start talking about your stuff is tell me what is going on in your business with respect to content and what are your pain points around organizing it.
Oh, yeah. So one of my biggest pain points with content is obviously I have a lot of ideas that I get started and I don't really ever follow through with them. So having kind of somebody,
So you're an entrepreneur.
basically, a lot of ideas and no follow through. But yeah, I mean, I do that, right? So I'll have something that pops up and I'll create a piece of content and it's really great. And then I get like post paralysis where I'm like, I don't know if I should post this now. Maybe I'll share it later. And then it becomes completely irrelevant. And I'm like, can I repurpose this for later? Like, can I actually use this? Like, is it even worthwhile? And then the other thing that I'm starting to realize that at least for the people that I'm hiring, because now I'm working with a director of marketing that's, a fractional director of marketing. So they're outside my business. And then I'm also working with a publicist. So the PR company is also outside of my business, but they're trying to like pitch me and set up funnels and do all of these things. And they're like, great, we'd love this article about this. And I'm like, oh shit, I have to write another freaking article. It would be so nice if I already had content about this stuff, and I might, but I'm not really sure if I do. So,
Oh man. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So that's exactly it. It's like I don't want to have to do this over and over again. Maybe you have something, but you don't know where it is. Okay. So with that said, let's just take a look at it and kind of go through. And so this is yours. You just started. Um,
yeah.
so tell me what the experience was for you, because you started out with the old version of the pot of gold, and you were like, whatever, like it was overwhelming.
I opened it and was like, no. Like they were just too many tabs, too many views. Like walking through what views meant, I was like, I don't even know what I need to see here. I'm not even like you even had like little emojis like titling stuff and I was like, "Oh no. No, no, no. Like I am not that like I'm organized, but I also need to move so fast that it was like and then put this topic in and whether or not it's paid and how much it costs." And I was like, that is not owner work. That is like a VA work. And I was like, so I will just table that until I have somebody on board who can do this for me. And then I just promptly forgot about it. And that is basically what happened. But
Yeah.
the second iteration of Pot of Gold, which I think you're calling like 2.0,
Mm-hmm.
um, in my opinion, was a lot more straightforward because it enabled me to kind of understand like, okay, I can just ignore a lot of this stuff. And I think that was like the key was in those videos. It was like, ignore this. And by the way, I listened to everything on as fast of speed as you can possibly put it on. So I was listening to it on 2.0 speed or like time 2 times speed. And you were like, okay, so you put this in here and then you go there and then you do this. And I was like, this is perfect. This is exactly my speed.
I also listen to things very, very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and even in this slimmed down version, well, the version 2.0 has more tabs, but it's also a lot better documented. So it's self-documented. So if you hover here, it tells you like what the heck is going on in this tab, right? Document the places that you show up online, right? So you can go in here and you can put the actual URLs of like, what's your website, what's your Facebook, what's your Instagram, like wherever it is you're showing up, right? And you raise a good point, which is this is not owner work for a lot of people. Like if you're a solopreneur and you're still like doing your own hustle, like that's great. Like there's instructions, but at a certain level, yeah, you aren't the one that should be doing this, but you also can't forget about it. You have to engage enough to figure out like, okay, who do I delegate this to and how do I get them, on the path
Well,
to
and I also think
like
that was
actually
why I
inputting.
forgot about it, right? I forgot about it because it was just me when I initially purchased this. I really didn't have a huge core team working with me. I didn't have a lot of different pieces of my business where I was delegating social, where I was delegating content creation to other people. So I always knew I was the memory repository. I was like, oh, I'll just go find that post that I did over here and I'll just pluck this out of here. And then I would forget it, right? So it becomes this sort of messy, if you need to slide somebody into the role, it's so much easier to go, here's my content database. Feel free to use anything here and use these as topics to create new topics, right? Whereas
Yeah.
if I'm just going, hey, comb through my social page, they're like, okay, like,
Right.
here's my bill
So
for all that work too.
so this is a great point, and I think it highlights kind of this diverge of two types of people, right, who would see this. Like, I'm the type of person that sees it. I'm the type of person when I was in school to become a developer, somebody told me that version control was a thing. So developers, when they're two or more people working on the same thing, they use version control to know like who changed what, right, and not get confused. As soon as I knew that was a thing that professional developers did, and I'm like a sophomore in college, I'm like, well, that's what I'm going to do, right? So I'm the first person that sees this and says, oh yeah, I'm going to start like tracking all of my content now because I know in the future I don't want to do this and I want to just hand this over. And you're the opposite type of person where you see that and you're like, ooh, I know somebody needs to do that, but not me. And then it's like, you know,
And
so
definitely not right now. That's, and that's
right.
and then it becomes, I mean, I told you this earlier offline, but I'll tell it to all of you now. I only do things the hard way. So I was fully expecting to get dragged by you today. Kronda, that was also part of the reason I wanted to do this.
Everybody wants to be dragged. It's so funny.
Your next course should be
I
called Get Dragged by Kronda.
and you know what? I might make more sales.
You
I don't
did say
know.
you
I
like
might.
topics that are, in your 5x5 little video. You did say like I like creating something that's like a little bit like, not clickbaity, but like attention grabbing. So that could totally be
Yeah.
it.
I mean, it would be the truth, but so okay, so if you're the type of person that's like not now, that just know that when you do make that hire, the first thing they're going to need to come in and do is go through all your social posts, but put them in here, right? And there's a couple of ways to do that. If this is published content, right? So if someone's combing through your blog or they're combing through your Instagram or whatever, they can come in here and they can, they can just open a new thing and start typing in blah blah blah. They can also go in here to views and there's a form. So if you want to not give somebody edit access to this, right, you can create a form and you basically just drag and drop all of the fields that you want to be in the form, and then you can share it, right? And then when you click on this link, it opens as just a kind of a user-friendly form
Oh,
that's
so
not so intimidating.
would I paste that link like into, if I'm sending it in an email and I'm hyperlinking that, I can paste that link as the hyperlink?
Yeah, so you can send this to your VA and be like, go through and fill out this out for every Instagram post. that I have,
Okay,
right?
yes.
And each
Alright.
time they fill it out is one post, right? Um, and you can have multiple forms. So you could say, I want to create. Let's see. We could say, why isn't that? There we go. This is like an IG entry form
Oh, okay,
because
so this
maybe you
should
don't right? Maybe you don't need all those fields. Maybe you just
Oh,
want
right,
the
right, right.
date and the type is going to be video or audio and the title and the link. And then maybe you don't need like
Okay.
all this stuff. So you like you
Okay.
drag it out, right? And you hide that stuff, right?
Okay, yeah.
So then you just give them this form that's like the link, the image, and the caption.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. Um, so so does that make it feel like, okay, I'm not going to do this, but it's a little more accessible to be able to know like how to get somebody started
Yeah, especially as
actually entering
opposed
this
to
stuff?
sending them the whole Airtable template because even
Right.
like yeah, that's fine, if you're giving them that if you have that trust developed with your VA, that could be one way of doing it, but I do feel like some less like me, I'm not
If you're
super
just
tech
going on
savvy.
Fiverr and hiring like James
Yeah.
Schmo.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that all that. So I definitely think the form is a big one. And one thing in the video that I didn't see was whether or not you could share that link that comes up when you open that link separately. I didn't know if that link was going to be shareable exactly the way the link pops up or if I needed to share it a different way.
No, you just share exactly that link and
Cool.
they don't need to be logged in. They don't need an Airtable account. They can just go and they
Perfect.
can fill it out. Yeah.
That's great.
So, like we have in my business, there's a weekly task, and my VA basically goes through and sees like picks everything that I've published that week. So it might be, I publish on my Facebook profile and my group and, whatever it is, and just kind of scrapes all that stuff and makes sure it gets into the pot of gold. So I actually filled out most of mine myself because I was kind of building it as I went. But now my team basically maintains it. And then sometimes if I go in there and I'm looking for something, I'll be like, hey, I want this organized in this way. And I'll just make a quick Loom video and I'll be like, I need this link instead of this one. And I need these organized in this order. And I need to create, different views. So one of the things that's one of the reasons that I really, really love Airtable is for the views. So if you are looking at like all your content and it's just overwhelming, like this is a lot of tables, right? A lot of
Right.
columns. Maybe for whatever you're doing, you don't actually need to see that much information. So maybe you make a view, you duplicate this and you say, this is the Instagram. I don't know why, but I like to caps things. So you make that the Instagram post view, and then you say, okay, for Instagram, I really only need to see the date and the title and the link and whatever the caption.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah. So it starts out overwhelming and then you narrow it down to whatever makes sense. And I'm gonna show you how we actually manage our Instagram with mine. Um, so what else do you have going on? You were talking about some funnels and some things like that. Like what else is going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, yeah. So we're building out right now we're Shonda Head with SHH Creative. Hi Shonda is building out my funnels right now for one of my higher ticket shout out. No. One of my higher ticket
I'm laughing because Lena said I love getting dragged. I learned so much.
I love getting dragged too, honestly. It's like I said, I learned the hard way. So like
Look,
when I
if
get
you're
dragged, I'm
watching
like,
this
oh,
now or later and you like getting dragged, then come apply to work with me because we'll get
oh
along.
no. I'm a little afraid to be honest. No, but but seriously, I so Sean is building out some funnels for my higher ticket kind of package that I do for certification clients. And that is, we're doing like a whole case study for an older client that's been working with me, and we're creating like, email lists and things like that. But I already kind of have some bits and pieces of like, one of them is like the free kind of lead magnet, the workshop that I already did before. And I wasn't actually able to put it into the table because I actually needed to go into the back end of my program and I had to remember what the slug was. I couldn't remember what the slug was. And then I ran out of time. I was like, "Oh, it's not here. Let me go get into that really fast." And then I was like, "Wait, that's not the right slug. Wait, that's not it either. Wait, hold on, that's not it." So then I had to get into the back end of my website, and then I just cleared my my browsing history
Oh
not that long
no.
ago. So it didn't have any of my passwords saved, and I was like, "What's the password for my Squarespace site?" And then I was like, so I was like trying all the passwords and then it locked me out and I was like, I'm just gonna get on StreamYard now. I'm done for the day. I quit.
Oh my
I am the
God.
worst boss ever.
You're like a
Um,
walking advertisement for everything that I say.
yeah,
Like
I
you need
know.
password management, you need
I
like
know.
but
I know.
so like this the thing that you just described is exactly what this was created to prevent because right the kinds of content you have in a funnel you're probably you're probably writing some emails or someone's writing
Mhm.
some emails. You've got your landing page copy, you've got URLs, you know, to your various properties, like where is the stuff housed, right?
Right.
So if you had in your content, you had that entered here, and depending on like, so we have all of our content here. I use other kinds of bases for other kinds of things. So we have an entire base that just is for managing our email marketing. And if you think this is
Oh.
intimidating, like I'm not even going to show it because people would be scared. But we we create and manage these for our clients. So um, it, you know, the other reason that I use Airtable is because everything interlinks. So talking about, you know, content for a funnel versus content for Instagram, right? The
Right.
reason that we have this platforms table is if you have your URLs and your Instagram and everything, you're publishing content and you want to know where the heck was this published? Where is it? I might have hidden it. Let me show all. Um, so, um, startups posted on, right? So, where was it posted on? And then what does it relate to? So, do I have offers in here?
I did it in the offers tab. So I was able to add a couple of the offers that I do have. Um, and that's something
So,
again I'm building out. So
yeah, let's see. Offers. It's not. So,
well,
let's
you had
say
a whole
you,
separate offers tab up there where you like put the offers in the like at the very top, there's an offers
right.
tab. And
Yeah,
that's where
those
I
are
put
here,
like
right? So
my
these are mine.
offers.
Yeah, so you get rid of those. Those are mine, right? And then what you can do is, okay, let's say you're planning content, right? Because a lot of people
Mhm.
write content just to be kind of writing content. So
And that's what I
one,
wanna stop doing, right? Like, that
okay,
I'm
so here's
like,
how
I
you do
can't do
that.
that anymore.
Let's put offers here, and we're not going to duplicate the content. We're going to link to the offers tab, right?
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to turn off linking to multiple records. So we're just going to link to one thing, right?
Okay.
And I'm not going to. So now what that does, let's hide some stuff. Um, all right, let's do the title and the offer. Okay. So now you have my great idea, right? And then you've got offers. If you can't link your great idea to something that you sell, then you don't have any business writing it. Put it on your personal blog.
Right. Right.
So because you now have this link, right? Now it's like you have your great idea, and if you can't link it to an offer, then move, like, think of something else,
Right.
right? And this is really great for lead magnets because a lot of people create lead magnets that are what we call a muffin, right? So if your product is a loaf of bread, then your lead magnet should be a slice of that bread. Because if somebody likes your slice, then they're gonna like your whole offer. And what people do is lead magnets, they're like, oh, I'll make a lead magnet. It's so easy, right? And it has nothing to do with what they sell. And you're like, here's this muffin. And then you try to sell them a loaf of bread, and they're like, why?
Well, and that's my problem isn't the muffin, my problem is I'm having trouble I write all of this content that does pertain to what I do because I'm a lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I write a lot of like content about trademarks, content about copyright, content about, and I do that in creative ways. So like I write parody videos where I like sing songs
Oh,
that
I know I've seen them. They're amazing.
that explain like areas of the law. And so right now I'm not actually able to publish a few of them that I have already created because I've given them to my PR team and they're like pitching them places right now. So
Oh, cool.
I can't share them yet,
Mm-hmm.
but they all sort of tie back to current events, things that are happening, but also ways that I can kind of like tie them back to the law. So one of them was like the Hamilton. I did a Hamilton drop on
I
wait
know,
for
and
it.
I love hated you for that because I have wanted to do a Hamilton thing for years. Oh, so
So I
good,
did
so
wait
good.
for it, the song, and then but it was about how long do you have to wait for a trademark to go through the system, right? So
Right?
for me, it's hard to know how do I link that content to those offers and how do I tie that stuff together. So for me, it's like creating that loop. It feels like I'm creating stuff that fits, but I don't know how to fit it all together. And I'm like, just
Mhm.
somebody tell me how to do it. I'm over this. Like I'm done. Like here, just take all my content. Goodbye.
Right? Yeah, so, like, somebody could take that, and so you wait for it parody, right?
Yeah.
And then you could link to Google Drive if you have it stored, somewhere that,
Right.
if you can't share it yet, right? And then these are this is another important point to hit too. These things, these stages and problems and beliefs, this is a template, right? So it's meant
Right.
I created it for my business. And so these are the things that are important to me. I want to know, like, what stage of business are you in?
Right.
So you can replace this with things that are important to you. So if that's
Okay.
important to you, you can keep it, but you can change the stages. So you can customize
Right.
the field type and you can
Oh,
say,
okay.
it might be for you, it might be like revenue, or it might be how long they've been in business, like whatever makes sense, right? So you just
Right.
delete these and you just change them up to, less than 5 years, like whatever makes sense,
Right, right,
right?
right. That makes sense. Yeah.
So then you have this piece of content, you have these stages, problems, beliefs, you change those to whatever makes sense for you. And then you can search and you can say, show me all of my content that relates to this certain problem, that relates to marketing, right? You
Oh,
can
or
create
like
a view.
relates to trademarks or relates to, whatever the macro kind of level content or topic you're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. So if this is topics, or let's say this is trademarks. So you can have a trademarks view and then you can filter it. Let's see. First, we have to um, let's unhide these. Um, so, or we could use topic. You've got
Yeah,
that. Okay. So then you can say filter this by, I'm going to use copyright registrations since that
sure.
exists.
Yeah, I was
Um,
going in and changing some based on the videos.
Perfect.
Um,
So then you say, okay, so we'll change this to copyright. Can I spell copyright? So then you just have this view and you're like, show me all my copyright content.
that's awesome. Okay. And then I can like repurpose it for the newsletter or and include those videos and those links to things in my newsletters and in my so it's the drip is more consistent and it's more kind of in line with everything that's being pushed out across the platforms.
Yeah. Yeah. And, people underestimate the value of that. Like, whenever I'm in Facebook and groups and just perusing the internet or whatever, people are having conversations all the times about things that are in my lane and in your lane. And in my case, when I see somebody talking about something or asking a question, I come back to my pot of gold literally within 60 seconds. I can put my hands on a link. Like, this is what I'm known for, is answering questions with links. And it's because I just come here, I go search for whatever it is, and I'm like, here's the answer to your problem. And it's a video, it's a product, it's a podcast, like whatever it is. And it's taken me, 60 seconds or less, but they get to have like a transformation or some kind of aha moment about whatever content I sent them.
I think that's
Okay.
how I got your pot of gold was I think I asked a question about that and you were like, "Here's my link to pot of gold." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
There
And
you
then I
go.
bought it. And then I just set it aside and never used it.
Full
Ah.
circle. Yeah, but I want people to use it because when you
Right.
use it is when the magic
I
happens.
know, I know.
Are you getting more excited?
I am. Yes, I'm getting excited to hire somebody else to do this.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Like
Exactly. So we've got some live watchers. If y'all have questions, like, please ask. And while you're thinking of that, I want to talk about Instagram because we touched on that a little before we
yes.
started
Tell
recording.
me how you got rid of Instagram or like how you were able to kind of delegate that.
Okay, so this is how I got rid of Instagram. So this is my pot of gold, and it's a little more intense than what I
Whew, that's a
did.
lot of tabs you got up
It is,
there.
and you can't even see it's more than you. Yeah. So, but that
My
was literally
brain
my.
like explodes just kind of like thinking about having to organize this stuff. So it really does need to be given to somebody else because I don't have this level of like, and then this tab and then that tab. I just get overwhelmed. I'm like, all the tabs that Kronda created in the template are enough. I'm done.
There
Like,
you go. But this is how I did it. And I'm the kind of person like I want to know first, right? So that I
mhm,
don't that I don't just like blindly kind of hand over my stuff, right? I want to know.
right.
So I actually took an Instagram course because I'll tell you what, I love Instagram for my dog and I hate it for business. Like I'm like, why is it so hard to make a paragraph? Why can't we click a link? Like who decided this was the thing? But it is. So I'm like, okay, let me go figure out enough to be dangerous. And so what I learned is I figured out like hashtags are important and why, and you should use all 30 hashtags that you're allowed when you post and blah, 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 right? So as I'm taking this course, I'm like, okay, I'm learning how to research hashtags. So I researched hashtags, and here's a bunch of hashtags that could be used in my post. Here's the link to them on Instagram. Here's how many posts currently at the time that I researched it use them, because you're supposed to have a mix of, on low use and high use. And here's the categories of posts that I might use them on. So that was my research tab. So I kind of did that and then was done with it. But when you're actually using hashtags, you don't want to have to copy and paste like one at a time, right? So I
Right.
made another tab and I said, okay, I'm just going to put the groups of hashtags that I want to use for each category. So now I just come in here and I just copy paste, and then I can stick that on a post.
Okay, you should
Um,
literally just sell your hashtag planner as like an
I haven't.
add-on, as like an add-on to the pot of gold, like add on for like 20 something bucks. Like, here's my hashtag planner because I would buy that. I don't want to do that myself. Thank you.
So then once you have this, like these are the categories or whatever, you'll notice I'm actually linking to the posts that use them, right? And so once I had this and once I hired someone, then I said, okay, here's our social posts, and we're going to use this for planning. And so Takira would go through and she would go back to this tab, the content library. So this is my content library. I think it's a view. That's like part of it. So I'm like, here's your playground. Pull anything from here. I would be like, here's a theme for the month, right? The theme is, confidence or whatever it is, tech, whatever it is. Go find stuff, right? So she goes and finds stuff and she populates this tab with stuff. And then there's a view for me called planning. So in the planning tab, she puts everything in here. I spend literally 15 minutes looking it over and going, okay, yes, yes, yes. Use this picture instead, make a couple of edits to captions or whatever, and then it's good to go. And then she goes and puts it, in later or whatever your scheduling tool is. So that's how I got rid of Instagram. And I tell you what, within 3 weeks, I wasn't reviewing anymore. Like she was writing her own captions, and I was like, that looks good. Like, go for
Go
it.
for
And
it.
yeah, so I go into my work Instagram, like, I don't know, maybe once every couple weeks, or if I'm inspired or if I want to check on, the people I'm following over there. But it was like my number one priority. And now I just don't even think about it anymore.
Now your dog's Instagram is another story.
Mm. Now that's what finally got me to make a reel. If you want to see some really kick-ass reels, you go follow Obi. Okay. Indigo says, wait, Karanda, did you say you make these databases for your clients? Yes, I do. I certainly do. And so if you're interested in the done for you side of our business, just message me, because that part I don't I don't really advertise that much because I'm super picky about who I work with. So. But yeah, get at me and we'll talk. Let's see. Are there any more questions? Just a lot of people who like being dragged. RJ, carriage returns bug me so much. All right, no new questions. How about you? Are you feeling good about this? Are you feeling like you have a better handle
Yes, I
on the
am. I
value, on the
am.
potential value of what
Yeah, I
what you
think
can
there's
do
a
with
lot
this?
more customization than eh, I think the customization and the ability to customize is what tends to overwhelm me because there's so much you can do with it that I'm like, I don't know what I need. I don't know how to do this. And I like to know from like organizational point one, like this is how you should organize it for you and then add it in for yourself. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like organize it however you want. I'm like, I don't know how I want to organize it. You tell me how I should organize it. How do I organize
Yeah.
it? And I think that's
So what
probably
you
the
need
part.
is you need someone on your team whose brain works like this. Like someone who
Yes.
thinks this is fun, right?
Right.
Cuz like I have a whole community where we just nerd out on stuff like this. Like Chris will bring a new Airtable and we'll be like, "Oh, we have to have it. When can we have it?" You know? So you get somebody like that on your team and then you tell them what the outcome that you want. You tell them, hey, I don't want to do Instagram anymore. Hey, I want to be able to see all of our landing pages and thank you pages, you know, and how they're connected and like what are the calls to action that we're doing.
Right.
I'm literally doing an audit right now for a new client, and just the act of somebody paying attention and then mapping it out in a systemized way will reveal so much opportunity. Because if you look at this person's website on the surface, like it has everything going for it, right? There's some people that like they don't have opt-ins, they don't have an email list, you know, like they're like below zero, right? On the surface, this website has everything that you're supposed to be doing. But then when I start looking at it, and literally I have a landing page base to organize these, and I start looking at like, oh, well, there's actually 5 calls to action on this one page. No wonder it's not converting. Right? You
Right.
know, it's like, oh, people are getting the same exact message on the thank you page. You're not actually telling them what the next step in the process is. You're just saying
Mhm.
follow us on Instagram. It's like, what do you really want people to do? Like, let's not be out here playing around for fun. What is the optimal structure and order of operations for somebody to go from they saw your website, they clicked a link, they opted in, they bought something, right? And then they get the thing, right? That's the journey that you want to be optimizing for. So if you're wasting your thank you page, which 100% of people who opt in for anything are going to see your thank you page, and you're using it to say follow us on Instagram, that's a wasted opportunity. And as you're mapping, you start to see those things and you're like, wait a minute. So that's what doing this kind of work does for you. So whether if your brain doesn't work like this, it doesn't matter. Like get somebody on your team whose brain does work like this so that you can get the value out of it.
Yep. And that's the now I'm like, okay, now I have the next thing to add to the like list of people that I'm having to hire.
Yeah, and if you don't want to do it, like you can come hire us and we'll do the full, like when we do audits, we don't just audit your website, like we audit your entire system. So we do a whole, you know, we look at like all of what Chris calls the 6 significant systems. So where's your traffic coming from? You know, how are you capturing leads? What are you putting in front of them afterwards? How are you delivering your service? Like all of those things we go through systematically and look at like what's happening in your business. And like it's amazing the little things that you can change that make this huge impact. But you have to have somebody who is willing to do that digging and kind of organize it and lay it all out. So for Pot of Gold owners, I hope this was helpful, and we're going to put this into the member vault, into the lessons that you get when you buy the Pot of Gold. So if you don't have your Pot of Gold yet, what are you waiting for? Please go get it. carveldigital.com/POG. And we'll put this video in there. And hopefully this helped you see like the value of organization and being able to be strategic about your content and also put your hands on it when you need it. So you're not like hunting all over the place and getting locked out of your website. Oh,
Had to get dragged once. Come on, like you
all right. That was
had to do
it
the
though.
drag.
Just
Okay, okay.
once, one
Just once.
drag.
It was good. It was
That's it.
perfect.
All right.
Uh,
Kristen, such a good sport. Thank you so much for doing
Thank you
this.
so
And
much. This was super
I hope you're
fun.
inspired. I'm sure you helped a
Yes.
lot of people doing this. So,
I don't know about that. They
uh,
just got to see they got to glimpse into how disorganized I actually am. Like so, like
all right.
not
Well,
hiring her.
when you get your person and you start to really get this organized, please come back to the group and
Yes,
report back.
I will. 100%.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Yeah.